Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I would like to talk about Smart Animate in Figma. Let's get started. Before we start, I would like to introduce a little bit about the animation to talk about what are they and how they work. So in this example, you can see this is a very simple animation that a block is moving from the one position to another position. So to define this animation, we define two states, which is initial state and the final state. And then when we add Smart Animate from Figma will calculate how they move from one position to another position when they give it a trigger. So that is how it works. So in summary, the animation is defined by different states, and in this simple example, I only defined two states according to their positions. And of course, if you would like to create a more complex animation, you can add more states, not just for the position, but also different things. And here is what you can animate in Figma. I have already showed you the position of animation, and also you can do in Figma, you can also do rotation, scale, like the size change of the object, corner radius, the color of the object, the opacity of the object, the effect of it, and here is another effect. So with those animated elements, you can create various animations that make your design more engaging. And of course, there are more things you can animate in Figma. Please explore more for yourself. In user interaction, animation doesn't have to always start by itself. It could be controlled or it could be triggered. In Figma prototypes, you can find that there's a lot of triggers you can use to trigger interaction or an animation, such as the click. When I click, it changes, and hover. I don't need to do anything, just hover my cursor and something will show up. And also, you can use the keyboard to control the element, such as this little prototype. I'm using the arrow keys on my keyboard to control the movement of it. And of course, you can use a drag to trigger the animation. This can simulate a drag and drop interactions. And of course, there are more methods you can trigger the animation. Last but not least, there's a trigger called after delay, which means the interactions or the animation is triggered by itself after a certain amount of time of the delay. So with delay, you can create more advanced user interaction with complex animations, because you can create several animations and then put them together by using the after delay trigger to allow them to play the animation by themselves or automatically. Here are some examples of using after delay to trigger the animation automatically. They are very suitable for the loading animation or the background patterns used. And here is how they look like. And here are additional examples. When your user is waiting for the website, when your user is waiting for the loading of something, when your user is waiting for the loading of something on your user interface, some animation like this will be make your designing more engaging and so that provide more patience for the user. And also, this is an example of how that the previous auto animated and here is another example. You can see how to make your And in this login form, you can see the animation on the background, which making the user interface more dynamic, looks better. And also you can combine different triggers together for the same component. Like in this example, when the object is not hovered, you can see it is have a auto animation, or it has the using the delay after delay at the trigger, so that you can to create the breathing effect. However, in the meantime, I can also hover the cursor to it to trigger a different animation. On this login screen, you can see there's some colorful background is moving by itself. So that is also another animation created in Figma. And let me try to click this button to see what other animation will be played. And now you see there's transition, and the background pattern is the changing their size and also changing the opacity until they just becomes invisible. And then when loading to this page, the text come out by changing the size of it. And on this screen, when I move my cursor, you can see that there are some pattern, and colorful pattern is following my cursor. So that is another animation you can build in Figma. Let's see, hello. And I have color blocks come again, and also the following pattern is still there.